A lot of music artists make music videos to promote their songs, but what happens when your video ends up getting no views, doesn't promote the song, and now you're left with promoting a song and promoting a video? Well, that's where YouTube ads come in, or perhaps doing a strategy that merges YouTube ads and meta ads. And I have a ton of videos on my channel going over meta ads. I have previous videos covering YouTube ads. In this video, let's go over how you can run YouTube ads to promote your music videos and how you can run meta ads to also promote your videos on YouTube. So diving right in, this is YouTube ads, or actually it's Google ads, but a lot of us just refer to it as YouTube ads when we're running videos on YouTube for it because, well, you're running ads on YouTube. So there's a few things you want to have set up here before you dive into this rabbit hole of running ads on your video. 1, you should have some videos published to your channel. 2, you should have a Google Ads account. If you go to ads.google.com, you could open up your ad account. 3, you should link your YouTube channel to your Google Ad account. Once you're inside of Google Ads, you can go over here to Tools, Data Manager, and we'll probably have to blur some stuff out in this, not this page, but the next page. If we go to YouTube, Manage and Link, you see here, I have Ever Waking Moment, and the rest is all blurred because they're, well, this bottom one's blurred, the rest I don't care. But Ever Waking Moment here is linked, and that's the channel that I'm on here. What this does is it allows you to see the stats from your video performance inside of Google Ads, which is going to be helpful for you optimizing your campaign. Because there's a few different types of campaigns you can run. We're not going to cover everything in this video because it'd be impossible to, but you can run campaigns for more so views or more so subscribers. I've covered both before. You want to have this data set up regardless, just in case maybe you want to run retargeting ads in the future, for example. So have that set up. Now, getting into the meat and potatoes of how to do this. So this will change over time, and it might even be different for you now. I'm filming this in, June 2025, and it's probably going live maybe also in June 2025. But it might change, and it might be different for you now. These ad platforms are constantly tinkering with how their platforms get used, and even on a weekly basis, and different people have access to different features at a time. But I'm going to do an awareness and consideration campaign, and so are you probably, and we're going to click video. Now here is where you start to see some options, right? So we're doing awareness consideration video. We're going to reach viewers on YouTube. We could either run this as a video views campaign to optimize for getting as many views as possible, or we could run this as a YouTube subscriptions and engagements campaign if you want to optimize for subscribers. I recommend doing the bulk of your budget on the views, not the subscribers, because I found over time of doing this that the subscribers you get from the campaigns, they're not necessarily a one-to-one. And the reason for that is just how the YouTube algorithm works. If you are seeing this video right now on your homepage, you might be subscribed to me, you might not. Even if you've watched a bunch of my videos before, you might think you're subscribed to me, but you might not be, and YouTube's just putting me in your homepage. And the reason is, it doesn't matter if you're subscribed or not. If you watch someone's videos regularly, you're going to get recommended their videos. And if you don't, you won't. So it almost doesn't matter if they're subscribed. So I recommend doing the bulk of your views and video views, and then a smaller chunk in YouTube subscribers, particularly if you just need to make your brand look like it has bigger numbers. There's a level of getting subscribers that makes sense too, but I would focus on video views. And now we're inside of our campaign. So if you've run Facebook ads or meta ads before, this might look very familiar. It's largely the same, but in some ways it's easier, in some ways it's harder. We're just going to go from top to bottom. The first thing is let's run a campaign for this song I Am that I have here. Funny thing, I don't think I've ever run YouTube ads on this channel. This is all just a side effect of me promoting the band's music on like Spotify and Apple Music using meta ads, and then a percentage of those people just looking us up on their own. I typically only like doing in-feed ads because skippable ads actually get better watch time. However, it's mostly passive watch time. Because what happens is they add you into these, like people that are watching videos or listening to music in the background, they just kind of add your ad in the midst of that. And so people never even see your song come up. The only way they would skip it is if they hated it so much that they got up and clicked the skip button. So you end up with high watch time, but it's very passive. In feed, people have to literally click on your thumbnail and get to your video to watch. So the engagement ends up being much better. However, they don't hear the song until they click on it. So the watch time is significantly lower. And that's why I recommend doing in feed most of the time. Bid strategies target CPV. We can set a campaign total. I recommend your first time possibly just doing 2 weeks, $100, 1 week, $50, just to kind of see what happens. I wouldn't do anything crazy with this. You could quite literally do like, 2 weeks, $25 if you wanted. It's really up to you. I'm just going to run this as a small test myself because the video I'm using here is just a visualizer. It's not even like a lyric video. It's not a music video. This is not the best type of video to do. In fact, I don't know if I'm going to run this one. I'm really just making this as an example for you, but I might. I want to see how this band does in YouTube ads. You never know. Every project's different. Every song's different. It might be cool for me to see if maybe I should be running more YouTube ads on this project. Networks, I like only running my ad in YouTube because that's the only, if people can subscribe and like and comment and stuff. The engagement you get in comments is never that great in ads like this because it's the first time people are seeing you. Think of the first time you find a band on YouTube. Like, do you comment on their videos? Probably not, right? It takes you several recurring watches. Now, when it comes to the countries, on meta ads, I typically have a very broad country targeting thing, and the reason for that is some countries are drastically cheaper and more expensive than others. YouTube ads, the difference is more subtle because the numbers are so smaller. So for example, on meta ads, you might have a situation where targeting Brazil and Mexico is 25 cents and targeting the US is 60 cents, right? Huge difference. But in this case, targeting the US might be 3 to 5 cents and targeting Brazil and Mexico might be like 2 to 3 cents. So on percentage base, it's like the same. A lot of times I just do US and Canada. I might go in and do specific English-speaking big countries that matter to me. So keep in mind what countries might make sense for you. Keep in mind the cost of different countries. These are all more expensive countries. If you threw Brazil in here, Brazil would take all the budget. If you threw India in here, India would take all the budget because that country's way cheaper to advertise to. So that's the main setup. Now we get to the audience section. So first thing is demographics. This is going to be very dependent on you and your project. I'm personally going to do 18 to 44 for this band because that's what makes sense. And then we get to the actual, probably most fun part, which is the interest targeting. So if I go and click in interest targeting, I could click one of these broad things. This is a metal band, so I could type in metal. Heavy metal songs, metalcore, and that might work, but I'm instead going to click new segment and make a custom segment. So I said I was doing the song I Am, and I'm basically just going to type in specific artists that I think make sense. 10 billion to 1 trillion weekly possible impressions. This is obviously not people, right? There's not 10 billion people in the world, never mind 1 trillion. There's like 8 billion right now. This is how many impressions. An impression basically means someone saw your thumbnail. So this could quite literally be a possibility of, 500 million people, right? Because you open up YouTube, and if you see like 10 thumbnails, well, guess what? You just generated 10 impressions. Imagine you do that 7 days a week. That's 70 impressions. Never mind if you scroll YouTube, you might generate hundreds of impressions within a minute. So this is a reasonably big audience, but it's not as crazy as it sounds. I'm just going to call this I Am audience. So this is who we're targeting, who's seeing the ads. There's different ways of targeting, different approaches. That's just the approach I'm taking here. For example, we could go into placements down here, and we could specifically say, I want to run this on Earshot's YouTube channel, if they allow ads on their channel. If they don't, we can't. But let's say Asking Alexandria. All right, I could literally run this on their official and their Vevo. And sometimes that makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't. There's cons to doing that. It's typically more expensive. You have to set a much higher CPV bid. You can do that. And by the way, if you want to see even more about how to run ads like this and the different types of strategies you can do, and also how to optimize your videos and stuff like that for organic as well, I do have a link to my course, YouTube Growth Machine, down below in the description. Also a link to my course, Spotify Growth Machine, as well down there too, if you want to see the Spotify side of things. We're skipping placement targeting here. That's just to kind of give you a teaser. Now we're down to your YouTube video. I'm going to zoom out again. And I still have that link copied, I think. I do. So I pasted it in, and bam, now it has our video. I'm also going to throw that link in the final URL. Keep in mind, you could make your final URL a YouTube playlist, like a video in a playlist, which might get you better watch time and stuff. For now, I'm just going to do this. Long headline, a lot of the times I will simply make the YouTube title. And then description, I might do, and actually since it's on a different line, I'm going to get rid of the quotes. And I often turn off get vertical versions of your videos. We're not running this on shorts anyways, so it doesn't really matter. One trick that I'll show you here that might be helpful, you see where it says ad creation. If we click this, we see our one ad. I can actually click this and clone it. and then go into that copy. And instead of making the long headline every moment I am, I can put that in the description. And then in the long headline, I can maybe do something like alternative metal / modern hard rock music. And the goal with this is, like, the people seeing this ad don't know the band. So that's saying everyone I am is not giving them a reason to click. Or if we say the genre, they might see this and be like, oh, okay, I like that type of music. Let me click on this and check it out. And we could, of course, clone this again, go into this third copy, and maybe say for fans of... It's going to cut it off at some point. Now, sometimes when you enter other artists in here, Google will throw a fit, so it might not get approved. So keep that in mind. Usually with smaller artists, it's fine. These artists are big in the metal world. I've only ever seen it be a problem for like Taylor Swift and huge, gigantic artists like that are more prone to be picky about their name being used. But something to keep in mind. You could experiment with that. And then the last part is the target CPV bid. This isn't what you are paying per view. It's what you're willing to pay per view. So imagine if you're on eBay and you're setting... You set a bid for an item on eBay. When you set your bid, you also set your maximum bid. And what you're saying with that is you're saying, I will pay this, but I'm willing to pay up to this if I have to. And if you do that for like 1,000 eBay purchases, you're going to find a lot of the time you're not going to hit your maximum. You're going to settle somewhere in the middle, right? That's exactly how this works. And usually I would just click apply and do their recommendation. If you don't have a recommendation, if you're doing like US and stuff, pick like 5 cents or pick 10 cents. It kind of doesn't matter too much, but if you pick too low, your ad just won't run. If you pick too high, you might pay a little bit higher than you should, but you're not going to pay the price you enter. If you're doing like Brazil and Mexico, 3 is probably fine. In fact, I'm going to set this to be higher. And if you look over here, average CPV 1 cent to 5 cents. If I make this 10, 1 to 6, you see it's not like a linear thing. So 5 cents is totally fine. It might ask you to confirm you do some code thing or email confirmation. That happens a lot. And if you don't have a credit card, you'll have to enter it by then too. But at that point, you have a campaign published. Now, what happens next depends on your ad. For example, you can't run an ad with a bunch of like swearing and nudity and drug references and alcohol references and gambling, and there's a lot of restrictions on what you can run. But keep in mind, technically, you're supposed to have none. So that can be a big limiting factor for a lot of different genres of music. With Facebook ads, for example, you can easily just use a different part of the video. With YouTube ads, your video is the ad. So if your video doesn't work, you're kind of screwed, at least from the perspective of running a campaign like this. Assuming your video is fine, if I go to campaigns and campaigns again, we're going to see the video here. It says eligible. This doesn't mean that it's live. If I click on the name, it takes us to the ad group. If I click on the ad group, it takes us to the ads. And in here, if this says eligible, it means it's live. But right now, it's pending under review. Now, the ways that you can improve this, we could click this campaign button, do edit, copy, and then paste it, right? So that would effectively be cloning the campaign. And then we could go into the campaign and try different countries, right? So then we would have one campaign running for $50 in these countries and another one running in different countries for a different budget. And the purpose of that is it allows you to control how much money goes to all these different countries. And you can start running some tests to see like which countries is the most effective cost per view, which countries gets you the best engagement data. If I go over here, we have this video view duration. But if your columns here look different, you can go into the columns, modify columns, and I like to have the video view duration, but I also like to go into YouTube earned actions and add earned views, earned subscribers, likes, shares, and playlist ads. And if I apply that, you see now we have all this data here. If your channel's not linked, you won't have any of these earned metrics, so keep in mind at the beginning of the video when I showed you how to do that. But this is how you can start to compare. Like, oh, I ran it in Brazil and it was cheaper per view, but it was actually way better for earned views, or earned subscribers. And when I ran it in Mexico, it was way cheaper, but it wasn't good earned metrics. So then you can start to whittle down, what's worth it to you, right? Do you want super cheap views? Do you want better engagement? Which of these countries with cheaper views have better engagement, etc., to optimize your result? And you can get really granular with this. You don't have to get that in depth, but that can be one great way to expand upon. So I almost forgot to mention this, but I mentioned at the beginning of the video that you could also use meta ads to kind of pair with your YouTube ad strategy. So the YouTube ads are getting you the most amount of views for a very cheap cost per view. But if you're running a meta ad campaign for streaming, you'll know that the cost per conversion is typically much higher, but the quality is super good. And so these campaigns are super effective to run ads, support your music on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Amazon Music, YouTube Music even, etc. But they can also be directed towards YouTube. If you don't know how to run a campaign like this, check out this video right here, because this will show you the entire process from start to finish. But this type of campaign is what's commonly called a Spotify growth campaign, a Spotify conversion campaign, meta ad for music campaign. It's a bunch of names. But the moral of the story is we're sending people to a page like this, and we're tracking conversions where people click these buttons and jump over to the platform. So usually you run these for Spotify, Apple, YouTube Music, etc., like I mentioned before, but there's nothing stopping you from putting YouTube as the first option. And inside of the ad campaign, when you would ordinarily target people by Spotify or Spotify, Apple, Amazon, or whatever, you could target for YouTube instead and make YouTube the top link here. And even put the YouTube video instead of the artwork. Essentially, by doing this, you're adapting the meta conversion campaign, Spotify growth campaign, whatever, to being like a YouTube growth campaign. And these two will work together in that the YouTube Google ad campaign is going to get you the bulk views and probably a good amount of likes and subscribers. But the meta ad campaign is going to get you way better comments and probably a higher percentage of likes and comments and subscribers as well. So I highly recommend running these two things in tandem so that you don't end up with a video with a ton of views that has very few comments. But anyways, back to the rest of the video. Now, I want to give you some bonus tips on the YouTube side. So here I have this video I am, and let me back out actually and show you potentially a different one. So we have a listen button, and then we have a lyric link button, which some cases I do that. I put a link on our website that has the lyrics to kind of encourage them to go there, and then there we have some opt-in to get them to join our email list. In this case, what we did is we put a link to where they can go listen to the song, but we also have the lyrics directly in here. And a lot of people will like to have the lyrics in the video description just because it's super convenient. So you'll want to at least have a link to where they can stream the song. I'm using a Feature FM link, but I would also put the lyrics in. And if you want to put any credits in, do that as well. Ideally, give it some type of snazzy custom thumbnail. This is a very boring thumbnail. Ideally, give it a better thumbnail than this. This was, I don't know why I did this. This was lazy. I could fix it though. In fact, I think I will after this video. But make sure you also go into the end screen for your video and add in some end screen elements. So the way this works is at the last 20 seconds of every video, you can put links to another video or your channel to subscribe. And that's what I have here. So I have video best for viewer and then a channel subscribe card. But I'm going to click add element and add a playlist. And I'm going to add this playlist I made for all other Every Waking Moment videos. So what I'm trying to do is as many people as possible to watch this video, go watch other videos on my channel. Because the more videos they watch, the more the algorithm's going to recommend them more videos. The other thing you can consider is adding cards. So if we go into cards, these are little links you can put to other videos or websites in your video. Don't go too ham with this, but if there's a song that you think is a perfect fit, drop it, like let's say in the middle. You know, if you're worried that people might drop off at a certain point of the song, video, and I could link to Forget, plop it there, so this will pop up when the video is playing. So if you want to learn how you can run the subscriber campaign that I mentioned earlier, check out this video right here, which is the last time I did it, showing it off. But as I mentioned before, you can also check out my course, YouTube Growth Machine, which I'll link down in this bottom card here. See, end screens, right? Directing you places to go. And I'll also have a link in the description. But anyways, hope you found this helpful. Comment down below if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next one.